And it's, as Robert was saying, mentalism, the first law of the universe. They knew, that's why I told you, we told stories in the beginning, because the stories of heroes, the stories of gods, the stories of Adam, Eve, those stories were the only ones that would survive because it nourishes imagination. So when you try to explain a truth exactly as it is, only a few people would understand it. But everyone will be related to a goddess or a god or a hero because you can relate with your own life. So they created stories so people could remember what actually the information was, saying it is encoded, and eventually someone or some group of people will start to understand what these stories actually mean. So what happened was that we started to create religions around the stories, and we started to believe them as they were told and not what they were hiding inside. So today, because we have the ability to have all the stories together, and most of the people are kind of related to these stories by movies, by books, and you can today understand all the wisdom inside those stories through your heroes, through these other stories that are being told, that are so ancient, so old. And as you see, the Marvel is taking all the stories from the Persians, the Norse people, the Greek people. They are bringing them all back. It's like it's been thousands of years of this, and even though they are still,
it's not a coincidence either.
Yeah, it's not a coincidence. and all the discoveries and understandings, and everything is coming back. And as when we were traveling also, and some things were happening, it was all about the stories. And it's not because we are those people in the stories. Like sometimes we say, oh, maybe I am related to that person. No, it's because they are echoes, and they are not talking about the actual people in the story. They're talking about codes that we all have within. And that's why we can relate to them, and why we can awaken the information through believing that we are those people. Mm-hmm. Like when you think you are a god or someone in the past or this kind of thing, sometimes it's like, oh, that's very egoistic. Like you believe in you were this king or this. But actually, when you start, even if you know that you weren't, when you start saying, I am that, you somehow encode what is behind that. Like the story of the sword of Merlin and Arthur. I had to believe myself I was one of them to understand what was behind that story.
Yeah, to see through their eyes from that perspective.
To see from their eyes. And many of those, that's why sometimes I do weird stuff, most of the time, actually.
I can attest to that.
Oh, yeah, you can be. Yeah.
But we're all weird.
Yeah, for sure. Matthias is just slightly more weird.
He's taking it to another level.
But sometimes it's like, okay, I have to allow myself to become that person in order to see through the eyes and understand what is behind that. And that's why I was living so many crazy stories related to this myth, because they are all telling something that we are all living today. And if we start to relate to those stories, and we say, I am Merlin, or I am Arthur, or I am Horus, or these kind of things. So we start to understand the codes behind it, because we start to see through the eyes of the story and not looking at the story.